This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Empty Chair. My good friend Cole was nice enough to let me do the show tonight because we're going to talk, a little bit about the addiction we've had, but mainly we want to talk about MVPASAP and the beginnings. And the young lady next to me, the recent Dr. Jenn Burns, it was her and I that co-founded it with the help of Senator Diane DeZoglio, who we absolutely love. So I do thank Cole, and when she's done playing with her phone, I'm going to introduce her. Stop playing with your phone.
Yes, sir.
This is my really good friend, Jenn Burns. I'm not going to call you doctor anymore, if that's okay. I made the pitch once, and that's enough. And anyway, Jenn and I had the good fortune. Actually, you want to know something? MVPASAP started because of the empty chair. My daughter Colleen and I used to do the empty chair at Methuen Cable Television, and one time I think you did the show with us that time. I think with Diana.
I did.
Yeah. And anyway, we did an episode with I think at that time there was Diana DeZoglio and Katie Ives.
Senator
Yeah.
Ives, yep.
And anyway, after the show, Diane decided to get involved, or Diana, I forget that. She wanted to get involved, and basically that was the foundation of MVPASAP, which it later became known as. And what she did a press release, and we had our first kind of what do you call it, like a town hall meeting type thing down at the Quinn building in Methuen, and had a great turnout. The place was really full. And, we really didn't know which way we were going. It was just kind of talk, and we didn't really have any goals then other than, just try to get the word out. And what you have to understand is this was before, this would be Senator Zoglio, this was before it became popular to be fighting addiction. And she was way ahead of herself and everybody else before the so-called epidemic came along. She was way ahead of it. So we obviously thank her for giving us the boost. We had a couple of meetings like that, and then she turned it over to myself and Jenn, and we took it from there. And it's been 10 years?
11.
11, holy shit. 11 years. So anyway, I want to introduce my good friend Jenn Burns, who I met through my daughter back when you were working at Moore.
Yep.
And we had our first thing. I think I brought down. She got in touch with me because at the time I was a city councilor in Methuen. So she wanted me to use my political influence, and we got at that time Senator Steve Bedoya to come down to Mans, and we got the ball rolling. You and I way back then.
Absolutely.
So just to start off, why don't you just? Amazing thing about Jenn is when it comes to the world of substance abuse, she's kind of handled it from every aspect. From being an addict, the parent of an addict, and having custody of two beautiful granddaughters. So why don't you just fill us in? We'll spend a half hour talking about all of our shortcomings, and then we'll have some fun in the second half hour. So Jenn, why don't you just kind of give everybody an idea of where you came from? Because, a lot of people are under the impression that when you're an addict, you get burnt out and, all the brain cells die. Although that probably applies to me. But anyway, why don't you kind of give them a brief history of where you started from?
Sure. I can do that.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I wasn't
maybe.
going to talk all night,
Well, you do really good at it.
I know. I never shut up, actually.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you, Cole, for continuing to carry the torch for MVPASAP. And it's like an honor and privilege to be sitting here tonight as Dr. Jennifer Burns. And I can truly say that, like, I wouldn't be Dr. Jennifer Burns if I didn't do what the program taught me to do, is like show up, do the work, and ask for help. 16 and a half years ago, I had an 8th grade education and a GED that I received from Owl Learning Center out in Springfield, back in the 80s. So to be able to sit here with the academic accomplishments I have, it's 100% attributed to a pathway of recovery that I follow. That I fought for so many years too. So I was first introduced into the program as a juvenile when I ran away from home and getting into trouble. And I come from a home that, a broken home. I come from a home that, there was mental health and addiction and abuse of many different forms. And I ran away from home at 12 years old after being put into a residential facility that I was sexually assaulted in, and it was a state-run facility out in Lenox, Mass. And I was
How old were you at this time?
I was 11 going on 12 when that happened. And it was a staff member of that facility. So it kind of got me. So a lot of my passion for, doing what I do at the level I do it in, addictions, and getting, like you said, getting politics involved and getting the people who can make changes and change laws involved, has to do with many people who have worked in the field that don't have proper training or don't have healthy boundaries, that really do more harm than good in those situations. So that's kind of like where the passion and the drive comes for me to make these systemic changes in the world of addictions, because I think for a long time our voices have been quieted. I mean, I'm a huge part of the Peer Recovery Coach Academy model. And that the advocacy that does has people at the table, has make sure that everybody's at the table. And that was, so our project, MVPASAP, comes from, my master's thesis, which I my master's is in community social psychology. And what that talks about is, it's about social justice, and it's about a changing and affecting change at the community level. I was most recently in a training, and they, a lot of our interventions focus on the fish in the pond. It doesn't focus on the pond, right? Okay. And we've talked about that many times. A lot of, like you talk about, addiction, just, it's starting to be normalized to have these conversations. But when you and I first got together,
no, God help us, no.
They were not normalized. To have these conversations. And, the sad part about it is it got normalized because it started to affect middle-class white families.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the changes started to happen. So, we're in a time where it's important to really address the systemic racism that happens in our environments, and we're kind of have a responsibility to do that.
Right.
And I'm very passionate about working in the field and making sure that ethical guidelines are being followed, because what happens when they're not followed is people die, right? Overdoses happen. We put people into treatment that aren't ready for treatment, and we say that they're not treatment compliant, and we kick them out because they're breaking the loop.
Yes,
right?
That's absolutely
so
true.
We're not meeting individuals
Right.
where they're at, and that's why I'm so passionate about the recovery coaching model. The peer model is because it is training. It's training us to roll with the person's resistance, to meet them where they're at. You've always been passionate about the families, like getting to the families and making sure that the families are understand and are aware that, like, this is almost like a rite of passage for a lot of kids, being in high school. I think that, like, the average age still is like 12 years old.
Yeah, and I always told Colleen she didn't start until she was 15. I told her she was a late bloomer. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. And a thing you brought up again, that you go back 15 years ago, this was a taboo subject. But just so people over there don't get overconfident, there still is a huge stigma. There still is a lot of people in the Not My Kid Club, which I was president of, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But we brought you to the other side.
Yes, you did, actually. Well, yeah, unfortunately, it took my daughter to become an addict before I realized, because I too was one of those who didn't picture people like us being affected by substance abuse. It was a real eye-opening thing. So now you obviously, what was the turning point that made you go into recovery?
That's a great question. So
I know I ask a lot.
I know you asked really good questions. So this time is my sustaining and recovery. I do follow a 12-step pathway, and sustaining in this time around in recovery is not my first time. So I told you I was introduced as a teenager. I was introduced in the 90s, and I obtained a few years and then went back out, and then I was so I came to this area in 2000. I got to Merrimack Valley area because I was fleeing a domestic violence relationship. My youngest son's father, and I came out to this area and I got into recovery, and I was in recovery for 4 years to 2004. And I had a nice painting business. I was doing really well. I was living up in the Salisbury area, and I was doing okay. And then I started to meet people it was Bevy Bees at the time. And I, meeting general contractors to get painting work, and et cetera, et cetera. And, I told the homeowner I would finish the house Friday night at such and such a time. And, that was I used to attend a meeting on Friday night, the candlelight meeting in Amesbury. And I started to put what recovery gave me in front of recovery. And it was in August of 2004, I was flying down 495 in my work van, and I was heading to Lawrence. Never have done anything in Lawrence before. It was probably about 1, 2 in the morning, and my work van rolled over. And I was around exit 50. It was 50 at the time. I don't know what exit it is, but it was in like the Haverhill area. So my work van rolled over, and I was brought to the Lawrence General, and I was pissed that I was brought to Lawrence General because I was obviously trying to do something that I'm not supposed to be doing anyways. Right. So it was kind of like a divine intervention. I remember calling the woman who had my son at the time and like, thank you God, my son was not in that vehicle with me after I saw what the vehicle looked like. And then I didn't go in right away. I continued to use till October 21st.
Before you go any further, okay. Now you said, unless I misunderstood you said you were clean for about 4 years and then relapsed.
Yes.
Do you, because I always ask this, especially someone who has built up a long time of, you relapsed, you'd been clean all that time. Do you know why you relapsed?
I put everything in front of recovery that recovery gave me. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped connecting with
people. Did you think you could control it?
I don't think I was thinking at that time.
No. Yeah. Good point. Because, I asked that of a lot of people, and most of the time there's no definitive reason as to why.
Well, I wanted relief. Yeah. I wanted relief because mind you, I hadn't done my trauma work. I hadn't done any changing. My mindset was still the same. So I was still batshit crazy. I just didn't have a substance inside of me, and I was looking for relief.
Okay. So you hadn't really changed attitude. You just stopped using. I hear that a lot.
Yep.
I do hear that a lot. Okay.
All right.
You can go now.
I can finish. Okay.
Bye.
So bye.
No, show's over.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. See you. I'm all set.
All right.
So, so I got into recovery. So my recovery date is October 25th. October 21st, 2005.
Mine's October 25th.
Is it really?
It really is.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I did everything that they told me to do. I actually came down to one of the programs in Tewksbury with my son. This program's no longer open. And I started going to meetings. I connected with a woman, and she took me through the Big Book Step Study process, and that was a meeting that in Lowell. And I went back to school because they said you had to change everything. So,
Yep.
and that's like, I guess I took that quite literally. So instead of like setting up my painting business again, I kind of said, okay, let me go back to school. So I went back to school, and I've been in school since 2006. I just finished my doctoral degree, like I said. I did take a couple of years off from 14 to 17. And I had no idea what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
like as far as anything went. And I had no desire to work in the field of addictions. I actually wanted to work with individuals that are on diagnosed on the spectrum.
Mhm.
I wanted to work with that population. However, one of this program that I went to, the woman who was running it called me up. I was working on my bachelor's degree, and she's like, this program's closing. I need your leadership skills to help inspire these women because they're in a major transition. The program, it was for women in recovery and women who had that were there for domestic violence. So she pulled me into the field, and that's where my pathway changed. And because that was one of the reasons I went to excuse me, UMass Lowell, was because they had the master's degree in autism studies that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I shifted gears and did community social psychology. But I also knew that that this is a area that needs to be affected at the macro level, because there is a lot of stigma attached to this still.
Yeah.
I had a recent call from somebody that I worked with when I was still with Methuen, the CARES program, and she had called me to let me know that her daughter is no longer with us.
Yeah. You
But
love
she
them calls,
also,
don't you?
I know,
Yeah.
but she also let me know that her daughter was treated inhumanely in one of our medical facilities.
Oh.
Not in this area; it's out in
Sure.
the western. She ended up in the western part of the
But
state.
it does happen.
But it does
Unfortunately,
happen, and it's too bad. And that goes to, like, people don't understand that addiction is a brain disease. Addiction is not a moral
No.
feeling. It is not about bad people. It's about individuals that are sick, that their brains get hijacked from the drugs, and the drugs call the shots.
And don't get me, everybody says it's a choice. It doesn't matter if you call it a choice or not. Once you become addicted, you're a very sick person.
Right. Somebody told me early on that, like, a cucumber can never, once it becomes a pickle, it can't go back to becoming a cucumber. And that's the analogy I try to give, because that's the analogy it is. It's
My
once
daughter
the
told me
individual. I love her.
I cracked up when she told me. She said, "Well, once you're a pickle, you can't go back to a cucumber."
Cucumber, right? Absolutely.
I had to think about it a couple of times. I said, "Gee, I ain't been drinking for a while. Maybe my brain is starting to."
Right.
All right. I know where you're going with this, but I'd like to hit part 2 of your journey, which
Okay.
would be your son developed a problem.
Absolutely. So him and his wife actually
Yes.
had a problem. Him and his wife actually met at Daybreak Shelter meeting.
Oh.
Like the joy. So here's the key to not get into relationships early in recovery.
Exactly. Yeah.
She was in a program, and I think he was like a month clean or something. But people do that, right? So people do that. So what addiction is, it's about the reward center in the brain, right? So what it releases all of those chemicals, those feel good chemicals. And when we take those feel good, those things that give us the feel good feeling, the best thing to replace it with is relationship, sex, whatever. And not that it's a positive choice, but obviously it's better than going back to using.
Now, see, now at my age, I stopped at such an older age. When I stopped, I couldn't go to relationship sex. So I went to Netflix.
Because it released the feel good chemicals. Yeah. I like the Hallmark Channel. The Hallmark Channel is definitely better. So yes. So he during the course of his relationship, they didn't bring out the best in each other, and they chose the pathway of addiction.
Before you get into that, now you must have seen his transition going into addiction, or did you?
Yes, because when he first came back to the house, he was just smoking marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing the opiates. He wasn't doing any drinking, but he was smoking the pot.
Yeah.
And at that time, it wasn't legal and it wasn't a normal thing.
Mhm.
Well, it was a normal thing, but it wasn't like as normal as it is now. Um,
And people didn't have an understanding of it then.
right,
like they do
absolutely,
now. Yeah.
exactly,
That it is a gateway, no matter what people say.
right.
Or
So
it could be a gateway.
it could
I'm
be a
sorry.
gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different
Sure.
things that, I mean, gaming, people that, I mean, gaming, electronics is a
Sure,
gate is
it
a gateway.
absolutely
It's the pathways, it's the brain pathways.
Donuts.
Yep, donuts, absolutely. Jelly beans. I'm really big into
Ice cream.
jelly beans, ice cream. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta
It's
leave.
the sugar.
I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go out and get some ice cream and donuts.
It's the sugar.
I know
It's the sugar.
I know it.
We're all
So your
addicted to
your
sugar.
boy.
So yeah, so he him and his ex-spouse were not making good choices in
Right.
their life. They both had into, so I took guardianship of my 8-year-old granddaughter Layla. If you're watching, hi Layla. And when
Oh, and this is Grammy Phil.
Yeah, Grammy Phil.
Yeah, we don't do Grammy Phil. We do Grammy Phil and Grammy Friend.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when she was in 2016, which she had come to us. She was right before she was 2
Mhm.
years old, and we've had guardianship. My husband and I have had guardianship of her since then. And then Olivia, hi Olivia, if you're listening.
You got to get them both.
I know. I don't know if they are. They said they wanted to come on Facebook. I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've had her since she was 11 months.
Right.
And he ended up, his addiction, not to tell his story too much, but his addiction took him to, Bounceville House of Correction. He was there for a period of time. And then he went into a sober house when he got out, and he is actually in his own apartment right now, maintaining recovery, and working.
So he's doing pretty good.
He's doing okay.
Right.
But the girls have not seen their mother since 2017.
Yeah. And
I haven't heard from her.
Yeah,
I don't even.
And it's a shame. I know the connection that you and Jim have with them must make it somewhat easier for them for their transition. But it's hard on that.
Absolutely.
That is hard.
Absolutely.
By the way, like I said, we've hit 3 aspects: your addiction, your child's addiction, your taking custody of the 2 children, and your husband is also in recovery.
Yeah, a couple more months, he'll have 20 years in recovery.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he does follow a 12-step model also.
Yeah, I know. He does have his particular meetings they go to. You have yours and so forth like that.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what. I told you we were going to cut 4 aspects of it, and that really does. That covers, everything. All of the pitfalls, other than dual diagnosis. But yeah, and it's amazing the journey that you've been on. It's hard enough to deal with one of those situations, but I know even in our support group, we're seeing more and more people who are getting custody of their grandchildren, and it's tough. So
absolutely,
yeah, I'm sure that you didn't have this in your playbook.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the really positive things that have happened and continue to happen in MVPASAP. So we'll be right back. Hi there. My name's Phil Lahey, and I do the Empty Chair Show here. And as much as Fran and I have enjoyed doing this show, our real passion is with where it all began, the Circle of Hope, my support group for the families of addicts. I learned a long time ago that dealing with an active addict is just too difficult. So we invite you to join our group, the Circle of Hope. Give me a call, 978-886-2949, and you'll see our banner on the show anyway. and give me a call, find out what it's all about. If you don't think you're ready to sit into a group, Fran and I always invite people over to the house, and we sit down, have a one-on-one, and we talk about a plan you'll have to set up, how to deal with someone in active addiction, or just give you a chance to vent. So, I mean, if you or someone you know has dealing with someone in active addiction, reach out, give a call, take the first step. I promise you that it won't make it easier, but once you understand what it's all about, you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better. So again, 978-886-2949. Just ask for Phil. I'm always available 24/7. Thanks, and we'll see you on the empty chair. Bye-bye. Okay, we are back. And I guess I ought to just let you know, this is a live show. The number to call in here will pop up on the screen every now and again. Those of you who have, maybe worked or been associated with myself and Jen through the years, through MVPASAP or CARES, where she was, feel free to give us a call if you have a story to relate. We'd love to hear it. So what we're going to do now, we spent the first half hour talking about Jen's journey. Didn't leave no room for my journey. Oh, shit. Well, we'll do that another day.
You can do that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go to the beginning of MVP ASAP. Some of the events we had, remember, in the beginning and so forth. Why don't you fill the people in a little bit on the beginnings?
The beginning.
Do you remember our first event?
They were so fun.
They
yes,
were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it was important for us to have everybody at the table, right?
Yeah.
So it was very important for us to make sure that everybody in the community was involved, that we had the voice of the people with lived experience, that we had the police department, that we we had the support of the fire department, the police department, the hospital. Karen Kennedy.
Oh, if you're out there, you were great. We miss
she
you.
was.
We
miss you dearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. She really helped us to get into, Haverhill and to.
Yes, very much so.
Help us to expand.
Yep. And some of the other earlier people was Libby Strauss.
Yep.
Al Ruthizer. They helped us in Andover and North Andover.
Expanding out there.
There's so many that I'd be Alicia from Lawrence.
Absolutely.
The late
people. Delilah. Karen. Yes. God rest her soul. Judge Brooks.
Oh my goodness. He was just the most awesome guy.
Absolutely.
We had some real trailblazers back in that time, and I got to tell you, and you're probably going to agree, we met some of the most amazing people, and it was just
absolutely.
It was just something, because you have to understand the first couple of years, this was a taboo subject, and again, I give credit to Diana DeZoglio, because, like I say, before you started reading about all the overdoses, well, we knew about it, but she kind of brought it to light way before anybody else. So
absolutely. Well, didn't Senator Ives
do the speaking? And Senator Ives
and
also.
Jen Flanagan. She used Senator Flanagan.
Yeah, they came to Methuen and did a forum.
A town hall, a public forum.
Yeah.
Getting the community's perspective.
Yeah. So I mean, that was back when it was picking up speed, and the Tribune was fantastic with its. The new editor down there.
I don't remember the name.
I should, and she's gonna be pissed at me.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. But you know who I am. You know who you are. And now I'm gonna look. No, I'm not. It'll come to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, they did some wonderful stories on substance abuse. They did a great thing, a couple of stories on my daughter, who was, they even went into Market Basket one time.
Yeah.
But what we did was we were trying to get the word out, and
And make sure we hit everybody.
Yeah,
The whole
and-
community,
yeah.
to kind
And-
of normalize this conversation.
And it was really cool the way it came about and the way it snowballed. But I do remember the first event we had,
Hmm.
which was a great event, but we didn't fill up the chairs like we wanted to.
No,
we
didn't.
we were down at the Armory.
The Armory.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
The Armory's big, though.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
was
we
big.
had over 100 people.
Oh, yeah,
That's
we
not
had-
bad for a
yeah,
first
we had-
event.
which is why the next time we had it down to the senior center.
Right.
We packed the
We
place.
packed
Yeah.
the place, right? But we actually had less people.
We had less people. Yeah.
But it looked like we had more
Yeah.
because of the space. So,
But we it was good. Tracy Rao is the
good job.
Thank
you, Tracy.
Yeah, and to this day,
Mhm.
we still keep in touch, and she'll have her reporters call me when there's a story in there
Beautiful.
and ask my opinion, and obviously she won't put my opinion in word for word. But
She has
we got someone new.
editor's freedom.
Who we got?
Well, let's see if you can figure this out.
We can figure it out.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, caller.
Is this Phil Lahey?
I don't know. It depends.
Phil Lahey and Dr. Burns?
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah. Hi, hon.
Oh, good. I called the right number. I just called the wrong number, and that was weird. So I'm glad I got the right number this time.
Are you kidding me? My adopted dad doesn't know that my sister's on the phone.
Oh no, I didn't. Hi.
You didn't know it was me?
Oh my God, it's my daughter.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
He's mouthing me over here. Who's that? Who is it?
You want to know something? I did not recognize your voice until your sister filled me in.
Come on, Phil. I thought that was a
Oh,
layup.
well,
I
I
apologize.
should have I should have let off with just asking if you could come over and take let the dog out.
Well,
Then you would have known it was me.
Well, either that or you could do the way you usually introduce yourself to other people. Hi, I'm Phil Lahey's daughter.
Yeah, Phil Lahey's daughter. Just calling to call and see what's going on. And I was listening. I just got out of work, and I don't know. You guys are awesome, Jen. Like you already know. Like you're. I don't know, man. Like I feel honored just to like be your friend. We've been friends for so long, and like you're the real deal. You are the absolute real deal. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have you in my life. Like you're just one of the most amazing people. Is it uncomfortable I'm saying all this nice stuff about you?
Absolutely. Stop now.
Yeah. Why don't you say some nice stuff about your father?
Well, you're Phil Lahey. What else is there to say? I mean, that just speaks volumes, just saying the name, known throughout the mean streets of Methuen. So
She might have if you remembered her.
Yeah.
What was
I know
it? The
yeah.
ducktail? Was he talking about the ducktail earlier?
Oh no.
yeah.
Hey, listen. Just so the viewers out there know, Colleen was one of the. Her and I are the ones that initiated the empty chair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, about 12, 13 years ago, Carl, huh?
Yeah, well, we did the very first. It wasn't even the empty chair. We did
Oh.
the show with Pat Giuliano,
Yeah, Pat Giuliano. You're right. Yeah. Wow.
and then we did two of her episodes on her show,
Yep.
and then I don't know who came up with the idea for us to do our own show, but that went on for quite a while,
Yeah.
like so many different
Yeah.
guests, and that was a long time ago. We
Yeah.
did so many shows.
And still continues.
Yes,
I can't believe I didn't recognize your voice.
it's okay. Like I'm not offended or anything. I mean, if I was, I wouldn't tell you if I was offended.
Well, I do thank you for calling. Is Skylar listening?
I'm on my way home from work right now.
Oh.
So I was trying to rush so I could at least like catch the show, and I was trying to catch the number because it goes up very fast. And
Yep.
I'm not saying I was looking at my phone while I was driving, but I'm not saying that either.
Drive safe.
Well, yeah, and thanks for calling. And I know you're sort of happy to be back to work, huh?
Yeah, I am. I really am. I'm grateful for my job. Like I'm grateful for a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
and just hearing you guys, just talk about, just when you were saying about the stigma that people still have on it. It's like, it's 2022, people. Like, let's drop the stigma. There's a lot worse things. You know what I mean? Like, people need help.
Yeah.
And Jen, it's not a moral issue. People are sick, and like, thank whatever for you guys. And Dad, like, I know. Ooh, I just called you Dad. That was weird.
Yeah.
I just like the work that you've done. Like, nobody even knows, like, the hours that you put in, like the volunteering, the speaking, the setting up the MVPASAP tables on like 100-degree, weather days, and Fran is like, nobody has any idea, like, of the work that's been done just to help people, just to get a message out. So I really hope people understand just how much you've done to help, like, just the whole Merrimack Valley area.
Yeah, we really love FB, huh?
We do love FB. Franny Ball, shout out.
Absolutely. Grandma Fran.
Yeah.
All right, lady. Well, thank you for calling, and I'm glad you're back to work. You sound a whole lot better, and I guess maybe we'll see you guys maybe this weekend if you ain't doing nothing crazy.
Well, I sound a lot better now that you know that it's me.
Yeah.
You weren't sure at first.
Well, yeah. Well, you want to know something? The last few times I've talked to you haven't been exactly in an up category. Your voice was like, yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been hopped up on Tylenol and Elite, so maybe it was just the Tylenol talking.
All right, kid. Thank you for calling, and we love you.
We do. We love you, Call.
Have a good show.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye.
That
I
was
did
fun.
not recognize you in the beginning.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's not like I don't talk to her a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, Carl, thanks for calling. That was awesome.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And drive safe.
Yeah, she, she's responsible for a lot because without her, there would not have been an empty chair. And without the empty chair, there would be no MVPASAP.
No,
so, I mean, the way things have connected through years, even the past chief, Joe Solomon, it was by him getting involved with MVPASAP that case came about.
Right, and then changing the dynamics in the police department.
Hello.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jen. It's Michelle C. calling.
Hi, how are you? So good to hear your voice.
Thank you. You too. And hi, Phil. Glad to see you guys doing a tag team. I have to piggyback on to Colleen because I don't even know where to begin and to keep it short. But Jen, I'm so inspired by you. And, had I not met you in the early days in Lawrence, I'm coming up on, I'm over 13 and a half years absent from drugs and alcohol. And if it wasn't for a woman like you, I don't know where I would be today. I really, really don't. Just the stuff that your willingness to be open and loving and kind and embrace women. I mean, I know I did the work, but if you weren't there for me at that time, I just don't know I would be where I am today, and I'm getting emotional. Sorry. Like I'm in school now, you know what I'm doing. I'm going for my master's in criminal justice. Like you showed me, gave me a path, and you showed courage. And then I was able to do that too and find courage in myself. And like Colleen, stay clean, and I was right there with her doing this thing, and like we're all doing it together. And like I guess the thing that really comes to mind is like build that solid foundation and like the beautiful things that happen in recovery. And like you were talking earlier, I work in addiction treatment too, and I didn't expect to be doing this, but here we are. And just to remove that stigma, like this is a substance use disorder is a mind-altering disease. Similarly to any other mental illness, it's in the DSM-5. It's categorized as a mental illness, and people struggle with this just as other illnesses. And, you know, you talked early on, I just jumped on the show earlier on, and you were talking about how the treatment model has changed. Thanks be to God, because you know, we were kicking people out for not doing the right thing when they were in treatment. Well, yeah, they don't have the coping strategies to do the right thing, and they don't know any other way because their brain pathways are not connected properly at the moment because they're detoxing or going through withdrawals. And we put these high expectations on them when, like, they could barely get out of bed and brush their teeth, let alone stay clean for an hour, you know? And, like, I'm so glad to see that this treatment approach is slowly changing, and I only can hope that, you know, it's by you know, the stigma is getting reduced, and by you being so transparent in your experience, and like, the people who suffer with this disease are not bad people. We just fell upon some certain circumstances, and we need some help just to get out. And you know, the 12-step model is a model that I follow too currently to today. And it's helped me. Talked about the food and the sugar and gambling and gaming. Like, I'm on a food program right now that I lost 40 pounds because I removed flour and sugar from my diet. You know, I mean, and sugar is so addicting, you know, and it literally can take lives as well. It's just a longer, slower process, you know, of decades.
Hey, Michelle,
Yeah.
you know, this is our last show of the season, but did you ever think maybe you'd like to maybe join us sometime and maybe share your story?
Well, I spoke on the empty chair already in March of 2020 or 2021, I think. But I mean, I'll definitely do a read over.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
You know, I'd be honored.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't be. Well, actually, how many times have you been on now?
I know, Jen, you've been on there a bit.
Not counting TV.
Yeah.
Well,
and when did you co-host? How many times have you co-hosted? I mean,
Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You can see it, you know, and I was there in the early days when the empty chair first
Sure.
came out.
Okay,
You know?
cool.
Yeah, it was. And when the chief of police from Gloucester came.
Oh
to
yeah, that was.
Methuen,
That was a hell of.
Cecil,
Hey,
and we were all there live.
yeah,
That was
for
a great
people
show.
who don't realize it, I forget his name now.
I don't remember his name.
But anyway, he was on my show.
Campanelli.
Like
Campanelli.
Yeah,
Campanelli, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yep.
he was on our show before 60 Minutes got him.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
how about that?
Yep.
Michelle,
I remember that.
I appreciate you calling.
Okay,
It was
of course.
nice to hear from you,
Likewise.
and I'm sure we'll be bumping in together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Phil, thank you for all that you do as well on in your group setting and your support group. It's so important. You know?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you for calling,
Take
Michelle.
Yep. Bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
You know what? A lot of people I don't think realize. Yeah, you and I, we do a lot, but at least speaking for myself, I think I get more than I give.
Absolutely.
I really do. I mean, you know, when you hear someone like that and they kind of tell you that they think you're responsible for where they are, you know, with
But
your
she's
guidance.
responsible for where she is.
Well-
I was just a conduit.
Well, yeah, but you know as well as I do, you know, whether you're suffering an active addiction or you're the family member, you can't do it by yourself.
No,
You
absolutely
got to have
not.
a good support system.
Yeah, and it's the people that I mean, I can definitely, you know, there's people like Joy who are no longer with us that
Oh my
you know has a
God,
lot
yeah.
to do with,
Yeah.
you know, and Emily. Like, there's a lot of individuals that are in my life and my pathway that are reasons as to why I'm sitting here today.
Well, and you know, to get back to MVPASAP and all that, we were saying how everything basically started from this show, The Empty Chair,
Right.
and we finally got Joe Solomon, who was the previous chief. I don't care what anybody says about him and I never agreed on politics, but he had a passion for substance abuse, and he got on board, and out of that came the CARES department, which is still going on
Absolutely.
with Cole.
Yep. Cole is
So,
still-
We got someone else?
Yeah, let's see if you can recognize this voice.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I think I better.
I
I'm
like
going to
the
be in
calls
trouble.
in. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Jen?
That
Hello?
that
Hi. We know this
that voice I know.
we love this voice.
This is Phil Lahey's wife.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was Grammy Fran.
Yeah, it's Grammy fan. It's my adopted mom.
It's Grandma Fran too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot of names.
Yes.
But I cracked up, Phil, that you didn't know Colleen's voice.
Oh yeah, well
I could tell it in like the first word she said. I'm like, oh my God, he's too funny.
Yeah, I knew it.
well,
right here, that's it.
you know, thank you for reminding everybody. For those who didn't hear that, I didn't recognize my own daughter's voice, but I thank you
Oh,
for.
sorry, honey.
Yeah,
I had to give you a dig for that one.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
I couldn't believe it when he was mouthing to me. Who is that? I'm like,
I
are you
know, I
serious?
knew.
I'm throwing you under the bus right now.
Fran,
That was funny.
I'm sure that's not the only reason you called to humiliate
No.
your husband.
No, no, that wasn't the reason I
Oh,
called.
well, thank you.
I did have some nice things to say.
But-
First of all.
Well, you
know,
started
I'm
off
very
great.
proud of- Yeah, I'm very proud of both of you. You know, I mean, let's face it, Phil, you're my husband, and I've seen all the work and time and sweat that went into all of this. And like Colleen said, nobody knows what you went through behind the scenes and stuff. Well, I know, you know, and she knows because she's been involved watching too. So yeah, you worked your butt off, and it was your passion that kept it going. And Jen, I don't even know what to say to describe you. You are my idol. When I think of you, I think of a woman that is just so strong, and there's nothing that's going to stop you. I mean, you not only overcame, you know, your addiction and been in recovery for so long, and then you worked to, you know, to stay strong, and all the work and dedication you did with Phil, you know, to get this group started, the MVPASAP, and all your guidance and your strength, and I just and then you took your two grandchildren one by one, you know, and those beautiful little girls, I just love them like they are my grandchildren.
Yeah, but you might as well mention the one time you had them, you needed 2 days of rest after that.
Well, I am old, so let's throw that in, Phil.
I love it.
And, you know, I just love them. They are they're just so lucky, you know, with the wonderful life that you and Jim have provided for them. And, you know, that alone warms my heart. But I also have to throw in, you know, a big thank you to Jim, because he is just a great guy. And without his help, you know, it would have been difficult for you, you know, but he helped you along as well.
Absolutely.
And there was no stopping you anyway, you know, and now you're a doctor. I mean, you got your doctorate. I can't even say enough when you talk about, you know, being a woman and where you've gone and how far you've gone and how hard you work. You are an inspiration to so many other women. And I admire you, and I have so much respect for you, Jen. And I love you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. And I love you too. I mean, you are the strength behind this gentleman right here next to me. On many times
And Phil Lahey from Methuen?
Yeah, Phil Lahey
Yeah.
from Methuen, that you're the strength
Yeah.
behind all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you know, and just to pick up on that, you know,
Wait a minute. What is the saying? Something about if you want the good
Behind
man.
every man. is a good
behind
woman,
every
yeah.
yeah,
Help me with that saying. What is it?
behind every
every
good
man.
man there's a good woman.
Exactly. So that's the case here.
Or something like that. Honey, before you
Thanks.
hang up, you know, Colleen mentioned that, you know, I did a lot of the stuff in the back. If you want to talk about someone who's done stuff in the background, it was
It's
you. I mean, I was the voice of MVPASAP because I had the biggest mouth. But you,
Well,
you know,
to me it was, but
I drag you into all of that stuff, be it MVPASAP, the empty chair, you know, Circle of Hope. I know that's both
Opening
our
up
paths.
your home to do
Yeah,
interventions,
yeah,
being
I mean,
hospitable.
oh
to,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you know, just so everybody knows that I'm the one with the big mouth, but Fran's the one with the big heart.
Absolutely.
oh, thank you very much.
All right, kid.
That's very nice.
All right, guys, you're doing a great job, and
Thanks.
then I'll hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Well,
the girls have been asking when's their next day with Grandma Fran. So we'll figure
Good.
that out. You'll have to come up to the
Okay.
beach house the next week.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're
Yeah.
doing the work.
Anytime.
Yeah, I heard about your vacation. That wasn't so much a vacation. I'm like, the
No,
Holocaust.
we needed a vacation after to
Yeah.
recoup.
Right? Exactly. But thank you for calling. We
right.
love you.
All right, hon. I'll see you in a little bit.
I love you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I like when people call in. It's nice.
Yeah,
Kind
it
of breaks
really
up the
is.
monotony.
You know, we only got about 5 minutes left.
So a lot's come out of these conversations.
They really have,
and
you know.
And now Cole's taken it to a completely
Yeah,
another
and she
level.
has,
And
you
thank
know, and-
Cole. I wish you were here tonight. But,
Yeah, and she is. She's done an amazing job.
mhm.
You know, I ran MVPASAP for quite a few years, and when I stepped back, MVPASAP, not because of me, obviously, but MVPASAP just started that we lost some of the passion,
Mhm.
and a couple of the people on the board called me, and I reached out to Cole, and she came in and just, you know, like a bull in a china shop. She was just
Mhm.
went right at it, and I feel very comfortable that I felt comfortable enough to turn that over to her and to turn over this show to her,
Mhm.
because she does have the passion that, you know, you and I both have, and my daughter and so many other people that, you know, make it successful. So we only got a few minutes. How about you say something doctorate, doctorial? Say something doctorial.
There's nothing doctorial to say.
Oh,
What is
really?
What is there to say?
I have
How
no
about
idea.
you tell us real quickly in a nutshell how you've gotten to your place of abstinent-based pathway?
Oh, you son of a.
I know, Anna.
Actually, I'm going to tell you what happened. You know, and it's good. You know, I mean, I was a heavy drinker for a lot of years.
Mhm.
I guess you would say I considered myself. What do they call them?
Social,
No, well, yeah, kind of social.
controlling.
No, let's not go overboard. All right. But no, I mean, I was. I guess you would put me in the category of a binge drinker.
Binge drinking.
All right,
Okay.
I would I would go months without a drink, and then I would be like a kid in the candy store until I go too far, and then Fran would get mad at me, and I'd quit again for about 3 months.
Mhm.
But I think the thing that really got me to realize the problem I had was during COVID, because I had all that time, and I would drink.
Mhm.
And I'd always tell Fran, I says, you got some errands you want me to run? And I'd do errands, and my first stop would be at the package store,
Mhm.
and I'd pick up some nice cold, well, I was going to say cold bottles, but I used to pick up those 48-ounce Mike's Lemonade. I really like that in the hot days. And I'd go out, do the errands and that, and I'd come back, and, you know, and number one, I was driving under the influence, which I'm not very proud of, obviously. But I'd come home, and Fran say, "You been drinking?" "Oh, no, I know when you've been drinking." I said, "Well, I had two.
Mhm.
They were both 48 ounces." So yeah, during COVID, it was I just really went off the rails, and you know, Fran approached me a different way this time.
Mm.
Instead of just yelling and screaming at me, which would have like a 3-month effect, she just talked to me this time.
Mm.
And
Good job, Franny.
yeah, and she just talked to me, and for the first time in, I don't know, 20 some years, I actually listened and agreed with her that
Sounds like you surrendered.
I did, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I surrendered to her a long time ago, but this time I surrendered to the problem that I had, and I'm very grateful to her. I hope you're not listening anymore, friend. Maybe you're
She's listening.
doing the dishes or something.
She needs to hear how wonderful she is.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for letting me get my 5 minutes of fame in here. But you know, I'm going to give you a chance to say goodbye, and what's your fondest memory really of MVPASAP? Yeah. See, I
Wow,
can ask hard
that's a
questions
tough
too.
one.
See,
Oh, I
so,
can't
you
just
know,
narrow
back
it
and
down
forth
to
like
one.
that.
No, I can't narrow it down to one. There's absolutely no way to narrow it down to one.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to see, and now even too, like the next level that it's going to go. I mean,
Yeah.
starting to collect some data and looking at,
Right.
other grant opportunities and really expand the scope
Right.
of what you're already doing.
Oh,
I'm
and
grateful to.
least I forget. Yeah, this young lady is kind of back in the fold of MVPASAP. She's told Cole and myself that she is going to help us with some grant writing, which obviously we're very pleased
Absolutely.
and we're feeling good about it. But you want to know something? I do have and you're right, I have a lot of amazing memories, but there is one thing that will stick out in my mind that I will carry to my deathbed.
Which one is that?
One of our meetings was down at the senior center. And before I got up, I just got up and, was introducing her. And the shame is I don't know who this couple was. It was, I'd like to say an older couple, but they were probably my age. Who the hell knows? And she come up to me and gives me a big hug and said, "You saved my son's life." And that is one of the things. And to this day, I do not know who she was. I'm not exactly sure what I did for her. But boy, I got to tell you, like I say, when we get things back, that tops it all. All right.
Absolutely.
Hey, obviously, sweetheart, I'm so glad that you're here.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad we're going to get a chance to work with you again. Cole, we miss you. And I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. This has been really kind of special for me, because it does go back to the beginning when I had a little bit more hair. And so we thank
and
you.
I had dark hair.
And you had dark hair. Right now, I'd trade you
See
on
what
gray
you've
for any
done?
color. But, we do thank you. This will be our last show. We'll be taking the summer off. I hope you'll reach out. We can always use the sponsors. We've done a lot of scholarships. We've helped a lot of people. And again, that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons we started doing this show as a podcast on a live show. So again, we thank you, Lou. As always, thank you, my friend.
Lou.
And we'll see you next time on the Empty Chair. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.